welcome to spring. Happy spring. I don't know if you noticed, but it feels like spring day did not get the memo. It was a really chilly day to welcome in the new day of spring, and it feels like there's just winter all the time, right? which I'm very grateful for. But maybe you also feel like this in your business. Maybe it feels like all of these seeds that you've been planting should be paying off, and they should be blossoming, and they should be flourishing. But in reality, they're not just yet. And it feels like you're going through a winter season in your business. It feels like it's dormant, and no matter how much you're trying to rain on those seeds that you planted, it's just not going anywhere. But I'm here today just to give you a quick word of encouragement and hopefully to inspire you to keep on carrying on. So if that is you, listen in. I've got a few corny quotes for you. So here we go. Firstly, nobody said it would be easy, so don't give up when it gets hard. Secondly, it's a slow process, but quitting is not going to speed things up. And that's often especially true about weight loss. You know, those goals you have, may as well just keep going. Thirdly, you may be the only person left who believes in you, but that is enough. It just takes one star to pierce a universe of darkness. So never, ever give up. And then don't quit. Never give up trying to build the world that you can see, even if other people can't see it. Listen to your drum and your drum only. It's the one that makes the sweetest sound. That one was Simon Sinek. And then the last one, totally like this one. Remember why you started. And you know I always talk about why. So remember why you started. Don't give up. Find a way to make it happen. And I believe in you, even if you don't maybe believe in yourself. I want to encourage you to keep pushing on, keep persevering. Things will change. So now that hopefully you're feeling a little bit more encouraged and a little bit more inspired, let's get into this week's topic. So remember last week we spoke about what doesn't get measured, doesn't get done. And then we mentioned how productivity is quite closely linked to what we're seeing happening in our profitability. So the better we manage our productivity, the greater the chances of success, and the greater the chance of a higher profit if we can manage those well. And so we started talking about KPIs. So what are KPIs? Why do we need them? And what should we be measuring? That's what we are talking about today. So KPIs are key performance indicators, and they help us to identify what the main things are that we need to measure. It helps us incentivize ourselves or our staff members according to those indicators. And then based on that, we are now measuring something and it will get done, right? So if you think about it, there are certain actions that cause relatively certain results. There's like quite a high correlation between them. Okay, so the actions, the inputs, we call lead measures. So they're leading the result. And the result itself is what we would call a lag measure. So it's the result of everything else that's been happening. It's happening after the fact. So it's a lag measure. So let's think about something practical before we start thinking about business. So I mentioned weight loss just now. So let's go weight loss, because that's something that a lot of people can relate to. So, okay. You might decide that you want to lose 5 kilograms. Okay, to be able to lose 5 kilograms, you know you need to do two things. You need to eat less and you need to exercise more, right? So the calories in, which is based on what you eat, and the calories that you have burned from the exercise, those are both things that you can control, right? You decide what you put in your mouth, and you decide how many times a week you go for a run or walk or, I don't know, go to the gym, okay? And there's a relatively clear link between what is happening in terms of our calories, in terms of what we put in and burn, to the result, which is the number on the scale dropping, right? So the calories in and the amount of energy that you're expending, that is what we would call, in this case, a lead measure. It's something I can control. And if I know that it's something I can control, I'm obviously much more likely to actually try and do something about it, right? So to a large degree, it determines how we spend our time. It's about that choice that you make to go for a walk today, because I know I need to get rid of some of those calories, right? And we know that in exchange for the decreased calories, I'm going to have that relatively certain result. that weight loss is then your lag measure. So the same thing happens in our business. We need to make sure that we are identifying some of those main lag measures that are going to be evident of success in our business. So an example could be, I want to increase my revenue by 5%. Okay, that is the lag measure. I can see that based on my income statement, my sales are increasing or not. Okay. The lead measures, on the other hand, could be something like an increase in number of leads that I'm generating throughout the month. And that is potentially driven by marketing efforts or social media campaigns or cold calling. Okay, all of those things are activities which can contribute towards the lead measure. And if I know that there's a correlation between my lead measure and my lag measure, I just need to understand what that correlation is and then pick that lead measure that is most indicative of the result of that lag measure and drive after that one. Okay. Can you see how that would work? So I'm controlling what the input is because I know that there's a direct correlation to my output, that result. So if I know that I'm spending time on the right things in terms of my lead measure, I know that I'll get the results in terms of my lag measure. So I want you to think about a few different areas in your business that maybe you're struggling a little bit. Maybe it's sales. Maybe it is about the fact that actually your costs are a little bit too high. Or maybe it's not having enough cash in the bank. Or maybe it's not having highly productive employees. Or maybe it's even your customers are leaving you. Okay, just think about those areas. And which ones of those are most relevant to where you are at right now. Okay. And then think about the types of KPIs that you might be able to attach to each of them. And I'll give you a few examples just now. Okay, so think about those. The areas that you're struggling with, start there. The areas you're struggling with, and then from there we determine what the lag measures are that would be able to tell us whether or not we're doing better or worse in these areas. And then from there, you can decide what the lead measures would be. So what are the activities I need to do to make sure that I'm getting the desired result in my lag measure? Okay, so your KPIs are generally going to be a mixture of lead and lag measures, because at the end of the day, the lag measure is what we're wanting to see. That's where we see that there has actually been a good result. But especially if you're dealing with teams and employees, you need to make sure that the KPIs that you are incentivizing them with are within their control. So they can't actually control whether or not there is a 5% increase in revenue, but they can control whether they are on the phone 5 times a day, for example. Okay, so make sure that you're incentivizing them along the lines of something that they have control over. So I said I'll give you some examples. So as an entrepreneur, here are a few that you could potentially consider to evaluate within your business. Now, there are a lot more, and we'll be popping a link in the comments below with another website that you can go check out, which is all about KPIs, specifically for entrepreneurs. Okay, so I'm just going to mention a few. Let's have a look at revenue, because a lot of us struggle with revenue, right? So firstly, it could be something like average sales per client. So let's think there. The ways that we can increase our average sales per client is to upsell our existing clients, right? Or it could even potentially be just to get more clients. That's not going to affect your average that much, right? Unless you get slightly higher income generating customers. That is going to help bring up your average, right? And think about what are the ways that you can help increase the lifetime spend of your customer. How can you make sure that they're staying with you for longer and spending more over that period of time? Then the next one is customer retention. So think about your customers. Are you increasing your customer base, or is it actually decreasing over time? What are the reasons for that? Are there ways that you can reduce that attrition, is what they call it, is when the customers start falling away. So what are those things that you can do to make sure that you're not losing customers? Then think about your gross profit margin. So gross profit is sales minus cost of sales gives you gross profit. And then gross profit over sales gives you your gross profit margin. And so we want to see what is the trend over a period of time. Is it increasing? Is it decreasing? What do I need to do to make sure that it is actually consistently increasing over a period of time, or at least staying the same? It should not be decreasing. So there it could be either increasing your sales, or it could be looking at what is sitting in your cost of sales and how can you manage those costs better, right? Okay, so that's a little bit about sales. Now, what about, say, social media reach and engagement? We know that we need to create awareness of our businesses within the social media space. So what are you doing? How effective are those campaigns that you're running? Are you doing ads? Who's liking, sharing your post? Who's watching your live videos like you watching my live video right now, right? Okay, so what are you doing there, and is it actually paying off? Have you been able to see any of the results coming through from it? What about your customer acquisition cost? How much does it cost you to actually get to the point where a client is onboarded? Not just where you find the client, but where they get onboarded into your program, or taking on one of your services, or buying a product. What are those costs, and are they increasing or are they decreasing? What can you do to make sure that they are decreasing? Then let's think about your balance sheet quickly. So you know how sometimes we battle with cash flow, right? Because we're not very good with following up with our debtors. So what is happening in terms of your debtors days? How long is it taking your clients on average to pay you from the date that you're invoicing them to the date that you receive the payment? As a cash-based business, most of the time we would expect that that's going to be really short. And if you are battling with cash flow, you might want to try and see if you can reduce those number of days to an average of about 7 days. As you start growing, a good rule of thumb is probably 30 days, but it depends on what sort of cash flow availability you have. Okay, so anywhere between 7 and 30 days, but especially if you're starting out, try and lean closer towards 7 days, or instantly. Who doesn't want cash in your pocket right away? Okay, and then the last one I just want to mention is looking at the percentage of time you spend on your business, strategizing, coming up with new products and services, figuring out how you're going to get new clients, versus in your business. So we don't want to be spending all of our time working in our business. That's why we get employees and collaborators, and we outsource our services. And we want to make sure that as a small business owner, or as a self-employed person, we want to get to that point where we are able to step away and the business can run without us. That is the sign of a healthy business. Okay, as opposed to just creating a job for yourself. So increase the amount of time you're working on your business in a holistic perspective as opposed to in your business. One of those things that I always talk about is finances, and that is one of the things that we can often get caught up in working in our business, where we are maybe trying to do the books ourselves, or trying to understand what's happening with the finances, or actually just ignoring them altogether. To be able to make sure that you're getting that holistic perspective, focusing on strategy, you need someone to come alongside you to help you through the decision-making process with some of your financial management concerns. Okay, so that is where we come in to try and help you up there. Okay, so just a side note there. And I'll circle back to the Trading Academy again just now, because that is part of it. Okay, but at the end of the day, you need to be picking some of those high impact items that are going to make a significant difference to your profitability. So think about those ones that I've mentioned, go through the resource that I will be sharing with you, and pick like 3, maximum of 5 KPIs that you are going to be tracking for yourself. But don't just choose them. Start putting plans in place to make sure that you're getting to the point where you can actually start converting them into something that is going to be profitable, right? We want to improve them over a period of time. And I can promise you, if you're tracking those things well, consistently, and you have chosen the right indicators and you've chosen the right action plans, I can guarantee you that your profitability will increase. You just have to think carefully about which ones you're going to be implementing. And if you're battling with that thought process, just reach out, let us know. I would love to know what sort of KPIs you are thinking about putting in place potentially. And maybe you have a good idea about what those lag measures should be, but you're not sure what the input would be. So what are those lead measures? So remember, we've got a free 30-minute consultation, and this could be something that you chat about during that session with me. Okay, so make sure that you get in touch with us and you can book your session. Okay, great. Let's see what else is happening. Oh, yes. Okay, so KPIs, you know how finances are sometimes a problem, and sometimes the availability of financial information is a massive issue for small business owners. We just make sure that we get our annual financial statements and that's it, right? So on that point, we are going to be talking about the month-end close process next week. I have a special guest for you that I'll be having an interview with, and she will be talking to you about the month-end close process, what it's about, why we need it, what the common pitfalls are, and how we can avoid them. And it's all about making sure that you have a quick turnaround time in terms of your information, because the whole point is to get to a place where we are able to use that information fast and have it at our fingertips so that we can make the right decisions promptly. Okay, not wait 12 months down the line and then be like, whoops, I should have made a different decision. No, we need to make the decisions right away using relevant and timely information. Okay, so that's going to be a really great session to tune in. Small business owners, medium business owners, whatever, come join us. It's going to be great. Okay. And then I always round out this hashtag Finance Friday session with referring to our training academy. So you would have been hearing lots about the training academy the last little while. And I'm super excited about September. And we are going to be talking about costing, because costing is something that so many businesses get wrong, whether it's figuring out how to cost your time or whether it's just not including all of the inputs when you're costing your products. We need to make sure that we've got those down, because if we do not, you're going to be leaving money on the table. So if you want to join us for September, the cost is 300 Rand per month. You're locking in your subscription for the rest of your subscription and you're avoiding future price increases. So do make sure that you sign up there. Again, the link will be in the comments below. So make sure that you're tuning in there. And what else did I want to say? I think that's basically it from me. If you need help with getting the right KPIs in place, do reach out to us. I would love to help you out. And that's it. So I will see you next week with our special guest. So make sure that you tune in for that. Bye-bye.